Today we're going to continue our look at some of the instruments included in Kontakt Komplete Ultimate. Today we're looking at action strings. Let's check that out. Before we jump over into Cubase to listen to some samples and look at the GUI, first let's look at the native instruments page just to get an overview. As you can see on here, it is a library you can purchase on its own for $300. If you can swing it, get the one of the complete sets. Ultimate, really, if you can afford it. There's a lot of great stuff in here, including these action strings. I've said in other videos that I don't really like loops libraries, which this isn't one. This is a phrase library. As you can see in the picture here, and what we'll see in Cubase here in a little bit, is you have some key switches here that change the pattern of what the strings are playing, and you have high strings and low strings on separated out, so you can, if you need to pan them differently, or if you want to EQ or what have you, or if you just don't need everything loaded, they separated it out. So you have violas, violins on one of them, and basses, cello on the other. So the full library is 14 gigs of playable phrases. There's quite a bit in there, and the thing I like especially about this is that it includes little sheet music representations of what you're playing. That way, if you're learning notation or you happen to have the opportunity to have this played by real string instruments or supplemented by real string instruments, but you don't really know notation that well, this can help you out with that. And I think that's pretty cool. That, and sometimes even after doing this for 20 years, I'll have a rhythm in my head and I'll be like, wait, is that 9/8 or is that 6/8 or is it triplets? And they have quite a bit in here, and it'll kind of jog my memory on some of this stuff, which is also handy. But even though it shows all these written on an A, any note you play and it'll play the appropriate note. So I could play a D and it'll still play the rhythm shown, not necessarily on A, if that makes any sense. It'll be clear when we get over into Cubase. But I just wanted to go through this really quick and show the website here and a little bit about some of the menus that are on there. But anyways, let's not waste any more time here. Let's jump over into Cubase. Okay, so here's the user interface. I just tacked this on to the end of the tune I wrote that'll appear at the end. So just bear with me there. I'm not going to go through every single rhythm and phrase that's on here, just because this is a little bit of an older library, so there's been videos created on it. This is just for my own purposes, mainly going through and visiting some instruments that I've had for a while, and actually have time to go through and explore a little more now. And like I said in the intro, this is something I've used a little bit. Mostly as a supplement to the more professional libraries, I guess you could say. If I needed the strings to have a little more bite to them, or honestly, if I was just in a pinch time-wise and I knew I just needed strings playing 16th notes and I didn't have time to program in 16th notes or play in 16th notes at a fast rhythm, this just open this up, hold down a key, and it'll play it for you. Anyways, as you can see, there's a bunch of rhythms here as you go through it, and there's basic rhythms, tuplet rhythms, Bulgarian rhythms, and if you click on the little spyglass there, it brings up all the preset rhythms that are in here, and you can divide them up by high ensemble, low ensemble. If you just want single pitches, this is like the basic rhythms and the triplet rhythms. Or they even have slightly melodic phrases, which work pretty well. They're kind of neat. Again, for the high ensemble, and a little bit less for the low ensemble. And the thing I like about it, another thing I like about this, I should say, is they have an ending note on one of the key switches. Because if you just try to play this top rhythm here, and just try to overlap a note by another quarter note or eighth note to hit that, it doesn't sound quite as right as just just having an end note. There's, I don't know, just something that is a little off to the ear when you do it that way. But anyways, let me play a couple of these for you. I'll probably just play the ones I used for the main tune here, just to keep things simple, and I already have them programmed out. So let's go ahead and do that here. So the first one here is it's just whole notes here, so nothing fancy there. But when I open up Kontakt, it's just the basic breaks right there. So I'll play that here. Oop. No, let's go to the beginning. There we go. So as you can see, it plays out the rhythm. It's one measure's worth recorded out there, and it's tempo synced, which is really handy. Okay, and then I'll play. Here's the basses down here. So a slightly different rhythm, a little bit of syncopation. I didn't hit the mute. It's a little spoiler for the end tune, but so that gives you an idea of some of the basic rhythms that are playing there. Let's go to an end thing here. Some 6/8 rhythms, which are a little more of the cinematic pre-recorded things they have on here. And as you can see on my MIDI, even though all the phrases on the sheet music examples that it shows have everything on A, you'll see that I start on a C and then go up to F, and then A flat and back down, and it plays the appropriate notes for the key I hit, which is handy. But anyways, here's the 6/8 rhythm for the high strings. As you can see at the very last second there, it jumped down to that E key switch to hit that stopping note. Let's see. And finally, I'll just play the basses out for you here, and then I'll go to my little outro spiel, and then you'll hear the tune. And okay, so a little bit of an older library that I'm sure many of you have seen already, but again, I'm mostly going through these just for my own benefit, and if somebody is new to Kontakt and they happen to stumble across my video, maybe it'll give them an idea of if they want to either plop down the $300 for just the library or invest in the Kontakt Komplete, which again, I think if you can swing it, that's the way to go, because there's good stuff on there. And I want to continue doing these. I like going through these old libraries. I kind of want to go through the Composer Cloud too, but that's I guess That's years worth of content. So, hey, more YouTube videos, more clicks, right? So, I guess I'll keep going with that. But before we start the tune here, I just want to let everybody know I do music and gear news every Monday. I'll put an eye right there with this week's news on there, so go check that out. It's just basically any news that I find interesting related to music gear, VSTs, new instruments, new techniques, master classes. I also try to find freebies for the week. There's been quite a few these last 2 months especially, so that's been a little bit of a gold mine. If you're looking for some free stuff, go check out some of the older news things. Again, they're every Monday, so just go back the last 6 Mondays or so that I've been doing these, and you'll find some other freebies. A lot of that is still available. Some of it might have expired, but go check out the videos for that. I also do other videos going through like Kontakt, like I'm doing now, going through some of the free libraries I found that I featured in the freebies of the week from the news, and just really anything else I can think of. I'm also on schedule, if the movie isn't delayed anymore, to score probably what's considered the first fan film from Star Trek, and it actually has George Takei in it. It's an interesting story. I should do a whole video on that, about the backstory on that, but it was a quick synopsis. It was about the production. It was started by some kids back in the 80s they're a prominent family in the Asian community in California. The father, I believe, was a lawyer at the time of the kid. And I say kid, they were teenagers that did the film, made the film, and the father happened to know some of the Asian actors in Hollywood, one of which was George Takei, and actually got him to come on and do a little bit. And it's a really interesting story, and hopefully it's going to come out this summer, but I want to do a series about composing for that. Anyways, I talked way too much about the other stuff I'm working on. Here's that final tune. Remember, throw me a like, a subscribe if you're into this kind of stuff, and we will see you on the next one.